Welcome back to Readers of the Right. Today we're going to tackle the big question, what should you read if you just need a little break from the Black Library and the Warhammer 40k universe? There's a lot of really good books in that universe, and you will spend a lot of time reading it if you're a big reader of Warhammer. But there are some other books that if you are a fan of 40k, you will probably like as well. So today we're going to talk about 6 of them that are my favorites and ones that I absolutely recommend. But this isn't a exclusive list. There are plenty of other really, really good books that are amazing to read outside the Warhammer 40k universe. So if you've got some favorites, let me know in the comments below. I'm always looking for something good to read. I do have some physical copies of the 6 books we're going to talk about. 2 I do not, and 1 is an old cover. So I'll post the new cover on that as well. But let's dive into it and let's start talking about all of these good books. So first, one of my big recommendations for any Warhammer 40k fan is The Foundation by Isaac Asimov. Yes, that is the second Foundation, not the original Foundation book. If you search them, you can find them. I'm a big collector of books, so I've been trying to find the original Foundation for a long time and have yet to find it. This is the closest I've ever come to finding one. But I absolutely recommend them. They are amazing books, and they are one of the pillars that inspired Warhammer 40k. If you go and look, the creators of Warhammer 40k actually have an entire list. The first 3 books on my list right now are some of those books. All of the books on their list are amazing, and I'd actually recommend going and just grabbing that list and reading through all of them. But The Foundation is the oldest of these recommendations and comes with a lot of the foundations you'll see in Warhammer 40k, things like the Imperium, and a lot of the components of space travel and the culture of the Imperium and Warhammer 40k are here. It's really what inspired a lot of what came after it. This was written originally in 1942, not this book, but The Foundation was written in 1942. And Isaac Asimov is really the father of a lot of modern science fiction. We credit him with a vast majority of the direction that science fiction has gone, including things like robots. The AdMech is very, very inspired by a lot of Asimov. So if you're wanting to read those beginnings and become a little bit more in tune with the baseline of modern science fiction, Foundation is where you start. Now, I know that does sound very heavy and very complicated. It is not. This is in the golden era of science fiction when books were short and stories were very, very easy to read. Despite his advanced degrees in robotics and things like that, he does not actually become overwhelming when you're reading it. So I absolutely recommend it. The next book where you'll see a lot of the Foundation of the Imperium is Dune. Once again, this isn't the actual full copy. That's the graphic novel version, which is really cool. I enjoy it. And managed to pick it up with not Frank Herbert's signature, but Brian and Kevin J. Anderson's signatures on it, which is a lot of fun for me and as an author, and I've had a chance to actually get to know Kevin a little bit. So I've gotten a lot closer to the story as well. But Dune, even if you've seen the movies, you can see the connections. This was written about 20 years before Warhammer 40k became a thing, but it does have a lot of the inspirations and foundations. Sometimes just little things Frank Herbert mentions, like the Navigators Guild. And some of the eccentricities of the Navigators in Dune inspired the actual Navigators in Warhammer. That is something you can look up as well. Dune is a major foundation for a lot of things in that universe. So if you haven't read Dune or you haven't read Foundation, please read them. They are fantastic. They're major staples of both science fiction and the Warhammer 40k universe. And then the last one, this one's going to throw people, I suspect, because when you hear this title, you do not think of the book, you think of the movie. And that is Starship Troopers. I do not own it. I'll pop the cover right here. I actually only recently read this because I am a fan of the movie. And I didn't want to, and I'd heard that the book and the movie were wildly different. And I didn't want to ruin one by reading the other. And honestly, that was a mistake. I should have read this a long time ago. It is a fantastic story. And it is a lot of really cool things that you see in the military culture in Warhammer 40k. You'll see a lot of things like the beginnings of commissars, some of things like drop pods and assault shuttles. You see almost proto-space marines, not to the level of the Astartes, but you see that beginning, along with some foundations you'd see in the Imperial Navy and the Astra Militarum. There's a lot of really cool things there. There's also the beginnings of the bugs, as they're called, which are pretty much the Tyranids. They're very, very similar, and you can see a lot of where that came from. Once again, that came out about 20 years before Warhammer did. And to be fair, it's not stealing. I have to be absolutely clear on this. An author can inspire another author to write something similar or inspired by. As long as it's not a one-to-one ripoff, it is more than okay. As an author, that's actually something we take as a major compliment most of the time. There are some authors that don't. But the vast majority of authors, to inspire someone to write a story is a big deal. Because being at that level where your story is so good, you inspire another story, you move up into the next tier of authors. That's something that Tolkien and C.S. Lewis talked regularly about, and how they were very proud of that. Being the fathers of fantasy for them was a big deal. And it's the same if you go into the golden age of science fiction with Asimov and L. Ron Hubbard, and all of those guys were very much the same way. They were very much into helping the writer community and encouraging and driving it forward. They wanted to inspire people to write, and that's what these three books did. So, one last time, Foundation, or anything by Asimov. He's got a lot of books that are very, very good. You're not going to really miss it if you pick those up. Dune by Frank Herbert. And I will try and link these down below. So you can find them on Amazon or wherever. And Starship Troopers. These are all very, very good books and are all very good to read. Dune, you have the first three books that are always a recommendation. The Foundation has several books, but they're easily broken up. And Starship Troopers is a standalone. It's by itself. It's great to read on a break. Now, we're going to move into three modern series that are very Warhammer adjacent. They're not Warhammer 40k, though. So it gives you an opportunity to give a break. And each of these three has their unique traits that make them a lot of fun to read. And the first one is one of my favorites in modern science fiction. That is The Expeditionary Force by Craig Alanson. This guy is an indie author that is absolutely fantastic. Imagine Warhammer 40k, but with more humor. So a lot of the humor that's assigned to the orcs is applied here through a lot of military humor, some dark humor, some inappropriate humor, but it is a lot of fun, and they tend to be pretty fast reads. So they're great to pick up if, for example, like me, you're in the middle of the Horus Heresy. I love the Horus Heresy. They are amazing books. But there is no chance I'm reading all of them straight through. I'm sorry. I can't do it. I can do one, maybe two books together, and then I need a break. And series like Expeditionary Force are great for that. There's a lot of books in the series, but you don't have to charge through them all together. So using them and pairing them with maybe something like the Horus Heresy, where you can bounce back and forth between them, is a good stress relief, especially when you're getting to the really heavy books in the heresies. Expeditionary Force is a lot lighter. Okay, the next one I also don't own yet. That is the Galaxy's Edge series. I'll pop the cover right here. These books are written by a duo of authors that are fantastic. You get two almost different writing styles split between the two main characters. And it covers a large period of time during a galactic upheaval where humankind has managed to expand and fill the galaxy. It honestly feels kind of like it takes place during the age of technology in the Warhammer 40k universe. It's got that feel. It's far enough in the future that humans have scattered across the galaxy, but not far enough in the future that you're in the 41st millennium. So it's a really fun one to pick up. It has a lot of similar feels to Warhammer 40k. It has that kind of grimdarkish feel. It is a little bit on the a little bit less grimdark than Warhammer 40k, but it's still got that good build and drama, and it's a pretty quick read as well. It does have the authors write it in series or in seasons, so they're currently on season 3. So there are plenty of books to pick up and read and really enjoy there as well. Now, this last one that I feel like I need to recommend because I wrote it. It is the Officers of Tomorrow series. This is a temp cover, so I will place the actual cover over the top. And I'm super excited about this one. This was one of my favorite stories to write, and it's a lot of fun about it. A group of cadets that is supposed to be going out on a training mission and ends up caught in the first battle of a major war, and really forces them to grow up and learn to fight when a lot of them weren't meant for combat roles. The main character was supposed to be an engineer, and she ends up being a major officer on a combat ship. And it does a really good job tying in a lot of the grimdark feel, a lot of the actual stress of combat versus the levity that it starts out with. Book 2 in this series actually comes out here in just a few months. So if you want to check that out, I've got the link down below. It is also an audiobook form, so if you're an audiophile like me and you enjoy audiobooks, that is available for this series as well. And like I said, all the links are down in the description for all of these books. I want to make sure you guys can find them so you can read them at your leisure. And let me know in the comments below if you guys have any other books that you enjoy reading during breaks with Warhammer. I'm always looking for good recommendations, especially in science fiction. And don't forget to like and subscribe. If you stuck through this video with us and you enjoyed content like this, please like and subscribe and ring that little bell down in the corner so that you get notified anytime we have other videos coming out as well. Thanks.